So we take him to 9. Just thinking if I can orchestrate this in any way. He's used a force, so I'm not really going to play around second combo, I think.
Powering up! Portals online!
Hopefully it hits Azure. Hits Sylvanas. Hopefully it doesn't take 7/7. Fine on me. So I don't think we're dead to combo regardless, actually, because we got this taunt totem. So if he Ancient of Lore heals, I think he's dead. He needed to draw BGH. He needs like BGH and Ancient of Lore heal or something. That would save him. I know that's not BGH. It's the middle card, so. Even if he draws BGH, he could technically stay alive.
Time waits for no one.
Okay, he could taunt as well, right?
Well played.
Pretty good. Cool. Innkeeper. Okay. I think that's a good note to stop on. Kind of like I always do, I'm just going to review kind of like the night, how we did, and then I'll go over the deck a little bit, talk about the changes that I made, just as an overview. So we went 18-8. We went from all the way from beginning of rank 3 to rank 1. So we went 7-1 versus Druids. We lost first the one that mind control teched us. Hunters 1-2. Mages 5-1. I think we got owned pretty hard, but mages. I think the mage one is pretty draw dependent. It might not be that good. It's not nearly that good of a matchup, but we did pretty well. Lost versus Pally. I think this is a hard matchup. Lost versus a Priest. Won versus Priest. Beat a Rogue. I think this is another difficult matchup. Shamans, mirrors, so mirrors can go either way. Warlocks, I think, is pretty hard, but luckily they're not in the meta. And Warrior, we went 1-1. But I feel like this is also an unfavored matchup slightly. But I mean, as you can see, it's like an aggro deck. It's a real aggro deck. You can win versus anything with good draws. So let me show you guys the deck. You pull up the Fire Bats list. Okay. So this is my list right here. And I'm going to Hearthstone right now. Oh, come the fuck on. Let's try this one. Either way, I pretty much know the changes. Let's go Twitter. Okay. Here we go. So here's his list. I don't know if you guys can see this. The differences in his list is he plays a Lava Burst, a Tinkertown, a Yeti, so that's 3 cards, 2 Drakes, so that's 5 cards, a Black Knight, that's 6 cards. So it's 6 cards different. The replacements that I have are, I have Lotheb for, let's say, Black Knight, Bomb Lobbers for Drakes, Harvest Golems, 2 Harvest Golems for Tinkertown and Yeti, and instead of the Lava Burst, I have an Earthshock. So the idea behind the Earthshock is just a way to get past taunts. I don't want to run 2 of these because it's kind of situational. And Lava Burst, I don't know, I just don't feel is that good of a card. Harvest Golems I like because they're reliable mechs to have on the board to buff Cogmaster and for Power Mace. When you have a Power Mace and you have a Harvest Golem out, it's really difficult for them to remove it, so to prevent the buff. I think, yeah, like Tinkertown isn't worth it to me, just because you're like not a mage with Antonitis. You don't really do anything with the spare parts. So that's also the reason why I don't really care about the Mechanical Yeti. And the Mechanical Yeti is still just like weaker to hard removal than like Shredders are. So I think Shredders overall, even though you can remove the mech part easier than it's still stronger than Yeti. And then the Lobbers over Drakes, that was like the big change I was emphasizing. I like asked Firebat the other day too. I'm like, what do you think about? And I even asked Dart. I met he's not on, but Dart, if you guys know him, I met him the other night, and I asked him, I'm like, what do you think about Bomb Lobbers over Drakes? And he's like, nah, Drakes all the way. And they seem to swear by the Drakes, but I don't know. I feel like when you need the card draw, like it's too slow, and you're going to be losing those games anyway. And on turn 5, Bomb Lobber obviously has more of an impact. You don't really care about the spell damage, even though I'm not running a Lava Burst too. Like I don't really care about the spell damage with the Drake. It doesn't do enough in this deck. Whereas like a regular mid-range deck, you have 2 Shocks, 2 Storms, even Crackles or Lightning Bolts if you run those. So you have more stuff to buff or to use a spell power with. And then the rest is the same. Oh yeah, Lotheb too. Lotheb is the other thing. Like I don't know why you wouldn't run this card in an aggro deck. It just closes out some games, and it will always get in for 5 damage and secure a win too. Like if you're already ahead. So it's really nice to play this. It's really nice to have a strong turn 5 to go into Fire Elemental to close it out. The weak cards in the deck, just from playing with it more tonight than I've ever played with it, seem to be like Flame Tongue. Not as good as a mid-range Shaman, where you have things like Haunted Creepers. You really play a slower game where you build more totems up. So I could see cutting 1 Flame Tongue, because it does seem kind of dead. Let me just take a look at like mechs. Everything else seems kind of okay though. I was pretty satisfied with everything else. I don't think Clockwork Gnome's good enough. The spare part doesn't really do anything. Micro Machine is just, I don't know if we need another 2-drop. And I think the 3 slot is also full. So like if I have to look in the curve, it's the 4 slot. So the options there, I mean, Nullifier, I don't know if this is that good, because the only the only time that it's going to be good is with the Power Mace buff. The Enhanced Mechano is interesting, but you don't flood the board as much with this deck as you do even like a regular. I think this card is better in a more traditional Shaman deck than probably this deck, even though you can get to like 3 or 4 creatures sometime. I don't know. It's okay. But Jeeves is interesting. I think if I cut some of the late game too, if I curve lower, then Jeeves could be an option. I thought about Fell Reaver for a while when I was thinking about what to put in for Drakes. This could be an option. Healbot doesn't belong in this type of deck. Yeti is fine, but I guess if I needed another 4-drop, I'd put a Yeti in. But again, the spare parts don't really do anything for you. So yeah, Jeeves is fine if you cut some of the burn. But the problem is, like, some of the Shaman's strongest cards are late game. You know, the Fire LEs, the Doomhammer's really good, won a few games, and then you're running the best neutral card in the game too, Dr. Boom. So all that stuff doesn't really jive with Jeeves that much. You would have to change the list a little more. Yeah, so let me know if you have any questions. Mulligans and stuff like that, as you saw, what I was doing is Cogmaster, Mech Warper are always keeps. Annoytron, Zap-O-Matic, and Power Mace you almost always want to keep. You can throw it away. Like, for example, Annoytron isn't that good versus, like, if it's like, I guess, Zoo or something like that. Zap-O-Matic, not that great versus Rogue. Power Mace, not that great versus, I don't know, some control. But generally, you do want to keep those 5 cards. Rock Biters you want to keep against, like, Rogues and Mages and Zoo or something. Just when you're going to be fighting for board control early. And yeah, and then sometimes you can keep a 3-drop like Harvest Golem or Spider Tank for if your hand's already good. So compared to like a more traditional list, let me see. This is like a Mech control deck that I play often. You can see it. Even though I have 2 Power Maces, I don't have the Mech Warper start, so it just has much more late game mechs. So I don't really. It's not a rush deck, but this deck is cool. This is like the first time Shaman's really had or have a viable aggressive deck. Yeah, Alakir is interesting, actually. Yeah, I think that is actually a really good idea. I think before, a change like putting in Black Knight or something, I would consider Alakir. The problem is, regardless, is you usually run out of steam. I was running out of steam by turn 8 or 9. So if you're losing a game, how much can Alakir help close out a game? I'm not sure. But I don't think it's that bad. You have Doomhammers to activate Rock Biters, so you're not, and even Whirling Zap-O-Matics. So you're not desperate for Rock Biter activators. You are desperate for Flame Tongue activators, it seems like sometimes. But yeah. And then overall, how have I done? So I did better today, obviously. I did really well at the very end. I won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row at the very end. But then overall, kind of what I've been talking about. Hunters seem like a hard matchup. Mages I've done pretty well against. Rogues I have done pretty well against, actually. It's interesting. But yeah. Yeah, so that's going to be the end of the stream, guys. I'm going to go eat dinner now. So have a good night. And yeah, hope you drop me a follow if you're interested in watching again. I don't stream that regularly, I'll be honest. I'm not like a full-time streamer by any means. So I stream like maybe once, twice a week. But, so it's just kind of when I feel like it. But I've seen a lot of talk about this deck, so I wanted to really give it a fair shot. And I made some changes that I thought were decent, were better ideas than the original list. So I just wanted to test that out. There's a VOD of Firebat and Purple Drank playing this deck together on ladder today as well. I think Firebat was going from like rank 3 to rank 2 or something like that. But, yeah. Okay, guys. I'm going to stop the stream now, so have a good night.